I forgot to do an intro for this video. So hello everyone and welcome. And for anybody that's new here, my name is Rebea and I moved here to Italy from England some years ago. And I make videos just talking about my life here in Italy, and also I make vlogs. So in this video, I want to talk about relationships and how things can change when you've lived abroad for such a long time. So let's get into the video. Right, I'm inside of a bar because it was raining outside and I didn't want to walk in the rain. But now that I'm here, maybe let's have a discussion. Let's talk about some of these things that you might notice a shift in sometimes relationships when you move abroad. And not many people talk about these things. So I just want to touch on some of them, some of these points. I came here to originally do some studying, but instead I filmed a video. Why not? Let's talk about lack of empathy around people that live abroad. I think because, a lot of people's dreams and desires are to move abroad or to move to a different country, to move to a hot climate. Like a lot of people, Brits or whatever, will say, oh, I would love to live in Italy. I'd love to live in a different country because, the weather, the water, etc. It's just kind of like a dream of theirs. So sometimes people have a little lack of empathy when you are talking about your life. When they see your life on Instagram, for example, and they're seeing like blue waters and they're seeing your highlight reels, sometimes there's a lack of empathy. It's almost like people don't realize that there are still real life struggles that happen in any country. Even if you're sitting in blue waters and you're sitting in turquoise waters, it doesn't matter. A person can still be experiencing real life events, but sometimes there can be a little bit of a lack of empathy. People assume that things are perfect or things are amazing, but the reality, like I said, it's just you're still experiencing real life. Let's talk about effort. Sometimes you might notice that effort is definitely, for myself, I've noticed that the effort is can be one-sided, or after many years you notice that you're the one that's reaching out a little bit more, you're the one that's putting in the effort to maintain the relationship, and sometimes you don't realize that you're doing it until you actually stop and think, I'm putting in the effort here. And you might look back on past messages and you might realize that you're the one that's reaching out more than the other person is. So yes, things can become one-sided. People also may expect you to do all the traveling. Definitely for myself, I'm always expected to do the traveling to people, to this person, to that person, and it's not. And of course, when you move abroad, you automatically think, okay, I'm gonna do the bulk of the traveling, right? You just sign yourself up for that in general. But it's nice if other people would want to do the same thing for you, and when people do it, it's amazing. But sometimes you find that it's an expectation, oh, when you come to see me, etc. So that's also something that can happen, the changes that you might see. Understandings. Let's talk about misunderstandings about your life. Like I mentioned before, because you're living in such a beautiful place and it's known for the beautiful things and the pasta, the beautiful waters, etc. There can be misunderstandings, even simple misunderstandings like the weather, for example. If somebody, for example, lives in England or from the UK and you're on the phone talking to your friend on a Monday morning and you're like, oh my God, it's 40 degrees, it's so hot, it's terribly hot, and it's real to you, it is actually really hot, but for them, it's almost like you're showing off. So it's almost like you can't sometimes discuss what's maybe going on in your life because you don't want to offend the person who's probably sitting in the cold. But when there may be a heat wave hits England, for example, they understand that they can complain, oh, it's so hot, okay, you understand that when the temperatures go above something like a furnace and it gets really hot, that it is uncomfortable, you're not necessarily showing off. So there can be sometimes misunderstandings like this where people might think that you're showing off. and not understanding your daily reality. Or resentment for distance. I think sometimes there can be a little bit of resentment because, you know, maybe people have envisioned you in their life and envision you in a role in their life, and of course you're not part of that role anymore, so they don't know where to place you or to put you, or, you know, can definitely be very supportive at first, but then after a while, when they realize that this is permanent, they don't know what to do with that. They maybe question, oh, is it worth it, this relationship, or, you know. And the fact is that some people are only going to be comfortable in your relationship will get back to where it was only if you return, or only if it was on the grounds that you left at, if you understand what I mean. That's when the relationship would return. So sometimes you have to just be prepared to say goodbye to certain relationships, because if you don't return, it's not going to get back to that. Okay, this next point is the interesting one. There are some people that when they do visit you, there's kind of an expectation, okay? And the expectation is for you to be the tour guide, for you to host, for you to even pay, for you to plan everything. It's almost like you jump into that role. And for the, you know, if somebody comes to your country, that's automatically what you want to do. You want to host them, but you have to, I think it's important to have a boundary there when doing that, and it depends on who you're doing that with. And of course, not everybody is like this. There are some people that will show up for you. So some people that you didn't even expect will show up for you, and you're like, oh, this person, wow, I wasn't expecting this. They'll show up for you. Not only show up for you maybe on the phone, because showing up for a person and supporting a person can be shown in many ways. Can be like phone conversations and talking, or it can be somebody showing their physical presence and actually traveling to go to see you, and that's also a very beautiful thing. And I would say those friendships or those relationships, I would definitely advise you to pour into those relationships, and anybody that does that for you, don't take them for granted, because it's such a beautiful thing and they don't have to do it. Myself in the past, I'm guilty of doing some of these things. Sometimes I think when somebody moves away, you might just automatically assume that they're okay, they've got their stuff together, or let me give them some distance because they are probably trying to work out life, or they're busy. You know, sometimes these assumptions can be made. So I know it's not always negative. Over the many years of living in Italy, I've learned to set boundaries, and I think boundaries are very important, because before my boundaries were like this. And also I've learned to accept that not everybody is going to understand my life, and that's okay. Anyhow, I'm going to walk home now. The rain has stopped and it's my opportunity to go. Ciao. If you can relate to something in this video, or if you have something to add, please feel free to comment below. And if you have gotten this far in the video, please consider liking and subscribing, because it helps my channel so much. And I'll see you all in another video. Ciao.